Okay, so this man was interviewed by the BBC. Look, sorry, let me go off on one for a moment. On Monday in the House of Commons, we had Nadine Dorris, the Culture Secretary. I still can't believe that happened. Someone who doesn't have two neurons to rub together. Basically talking about getting rid of the BBC. Look, we have to say thanks to the BBC for talking about stories like this because Brexiteers and the Tories want to silence any criticism of the government. But in this clip you'll hear about a man who has been reduced to lighting candles because of the cost of energy. Society seems to be going in two directions. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And we're still at the beginning. In April, things are expected to get much worse. Let's hear what he had to say.
Well, we have to cut back on everything, which, isn't always realistic. Me and my wife have started using candles in the evening when it's just the two of us downstairs, which is ridiculous. But it's sort of the only way really that we can kind of limit the amount of energy that we're using. It's a real struggle at the moment. It's frequently a struggle. It was last year as well, but now it's gone up so much that sort of the idea of us not being able to use the food bank, for example, it's not possible.
The idea of not using the food bank is not possible. So it's not just that he's lighting candles, him and his wife, I think he said, it's not that him and his partner are lighting candles, it's that they also have to rely on food banks. Look, I've said this before, and some of you probably know where I'm going with this. A universal basic income would deal with this or go a long way in dealing with these energy bills. People would have probably enough money to get by with paying their energy bills, at least to keep warm. The idea that he has to cut back and use candles for lighting is ridiculous in the 21st century. Unbelievable. Now, if you don't care about people and you only care about the economy, like the Tories do, then even this is counterproductive. Because if people are working and they have to, say, okay, I'm going to cut back on heating, I'm going to cut back on light or whatever, especially heating, for example. If you don't get a good night's sleep, then you're not going to be very productive in the morning. If you're not productive, if you're falling asleep at your job, it'll result in absenteeism, problems at work, problems with your boss, and this is going to create problems for the company and therefore for the economy. So if you have workers who are able to get a good night's sleep, able to be fresh in the morning, productive, that's good for the economy. But the Tories don't care about that either, it seems. They don't care about the public and they don't care about the economy. For me, I care more about people than the economy. That's why I'd advocate for a UBI. I think it would go a long way to helping so many people.
We've got to keep using it.
I mean, the fact that you're using candles at night as well is like going back to Dickensian times, isn't it?
It very much is. My wife said it's like living in Dickensian times for us. And for lots of other people. It's not just us. Lots of other people are struggling, but it does feel like that. Absolutely, yeah.
The Work and Pensions Secretary not that long ago suggested that if you wanted more money, you should work more hours. Would that work for you, Harry?
No, it doesn't work, but because the way that the universal credit system is the more hours you work, the more money that they take from you. So actually you never get ahead of yourself. Never, ever get ahead of yourself. It's like a trap.
It's like a trap. So, and I'm not an expert on universal credit. I know some people who are watching the channel may be on universal credit, so they understand it much better than I do. But from what I understand, the more you work, the less support you get. So you end up having to work more and more hours, and the more hours you work, the more money you get working, the less support you get. But if you want to go backwards, if you don't accept work, you're going to likely get sanctioned and you have your benefits cut. And then, of course, there's also the waiting period, up to 5 weeks for the first payment, which forces many people into desperate situations where they have to rely on loan sharks or or others to provide them support. They run up debts that puts them in a very difficult situation later on. But just think about it for a moment. This man and his wife, I think it was, are resorting to candles. And they're on universal credit, and they're relying on food banks as well. Isn't that a demonstration of how broken the universal credit system is? Brought in by Ian Duncan Smith. Okay, the less said about him, the better. But I think somebody like Ian Duncan Smith should be put on universal credit for a year. Take away all of his money and his homes and everything like that, and his Express or Telegraph articles, and put him on universal credit for a year and see how he gets on. The same with Boris Johnson and Therese Coffey as well. Put all of these people on universal credit for a year and see how they manage. And I think they would turn around and say, yes, it needs to be reformed, or it needs to be thrown in the bin where it deserves. This is disgusting. This is shameful. And the fact that this man is working and having to rely on universal credit and food banks and resorting to candles is unbelievable, and it should not be happening. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think about all of this. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.